Welcome to Wednesday Wanderings. My name is Mark Long, rector of the parish of St Andrew in Newlands, Cape Town. One of the lectionary readings today is from Psalm 104 and includes verses 29 and 30. Two verses that just touch on that wonderful Hebrew image of breath being the indicator and source of life. It speaks about, in verse 29, God removing our breath and us being dismayed. It speaks in verse 30 about God breathing upon us and us being created. It's just a wonderful image that breath is this gift of life. And I guess if you go back a few millennia to times when science was a little bit more simple than it is today, the breath was a sign of life, and a lack of breath was a sign that life did not exist. And this wonderful sense that as God breathes upon us, we are created, we are given life, we're enlivened. And I'd really encourage you to just think a little bit about that. One of the processes of just centering ourselves in prayer is to stop and listen to our breath, to be conscious of breathing out, of breathing in, conscious of breathing in deeply. And that centering act for me can be something that really just brings me back to the moment and the present. I think that the more anxious I get, the faster I breathe and the more shallowly I breathe. And of course that means less oxygen going into my system, and the less oxygen that flows around, particularly to one's brain, kind of slows us down. And so just to sit back in those moments of anxiety, in those moments of urgency, in those moments of busyness, and just to breathe and to do so consciously is a wonderful gift in that moment. And ultimately Psalm 104 says to us that this is God's gift, this is God, this is life, and we embrace it as we become conscious of the gift. And so I'm not sure where you find yourself today, how this year is going, how this week is going, how this day is going. Here in Newlands, we're sitting in load shedding at the moment. We won't have water tonight because they're pressure testing the systems. COVID-19 continues. The struggles of life and death continue around us. So I don't know what your situation is, but it can be so easy to be overcome in the moment. And yet that gift of breathing is something that not only in concentrating on it helps bring us back into the moment, helps drag us out of whatever it is that is overwhelming us, but it also brings us back into that reminder that God is present, God is alive, God is with us. And so wherever you happen to be wandering today, wherever your journey is taking you today, I would encourage you, just stop, breathe, draw on God's goodness, and allow that to be something that just reinvigorates, recreates, re-enlivens you. And know that in the midst of it all, in acknowledging God's presence, we also acknowledge that we have the resources and resilience of God in our hands. And we're able to take that next step. We're able to face that next challenge. We're able to continue this wonderful journey of life. Challenging, adventurous, that it is, particularly with COVID and all the changes that have been brought to our lives. But to hold within all of this that wonderful sense of adventurous life in God. To know God's call upon us, to have that sense of God with us. And even if we're struggling to know that, to truly trust that God is around, even when we do not feel God present. And to allow our breathing, to allow the wind, the movement of air around us to be that reminder that God is here.